All right. Today we're going to crack open one of the most important and honestly most misunderstood documents in all of business, the profit and loss statement. We're going to figure out how a company can rake in $1 million in sales and still be staring at total failure. Let's dive in.
I mean, it's a question that trips up almost everyone, right? You see a company on the news, sales are through the roof, they're growing like crazy, and then poof, they're gone. How does that even happen? Well, the secret is all about a simple but super powerful idea: the difference between the money a company earns and the money it actually gets to keep.
This old business saying just nails it perfectly. Revenue is vanity. Profit is sanity. Think about it. A huge revenue number, yeah, it looks good, it feels good. That's the vanity part. But profit? That's the real stuff. That's what keeps the lights on, what keeps a business healthy. That is sanity.
So let's just get right into it and bust this myth wide open. Most people are wired to believe that if a company has high revenue, it's got to be doing great. But honestly, that is a really dangerous assumption to make.
The tool that lets us see the truth is the P&L statement, or sometimes you'll hear it called an income statement. And look, it's not just some boring pile of numbers. It's a story, and its only job is to tell you, with brutal honesty, if the business is actually winning or losing the game of money.
You know, the best way to wrap your head around this is to think about your own paycheck. Your gross salary, that big number at the top, that's just like a company's revenue. But after taxes, insurance, and all your bills are paid, what's left over, your net salary, that's what really matters, right? A P&L does the exact same thing, but for a whole business.
And if you need proof that sales aren't the whole story, here it is. A jaw-dropping 80% of small businesses that fail were actually generating revenue. I mean, money was coming in the door. So why did they collapse? Simple. They weren't profitable. They were just spending more than they were actually keeping.
Okay, so to really get this, let's follow the money. We're going to trace a single dollar's journey through a made-up shoe company, from that huge, impressive sales number all the way down to what's actually left in the bank.
So let's say our shoe company has a fantastic year. They bring in a cool $1 million in revenue. This is what we call the top line. It's the big number everyone wants to brag about. It feels like success, doesn't it? But this is just where our story begins.
And boom, here comes the first reality check. To make all those shoes, the company had to spend a ton of money on stuff like leather, rubber, paying the people in the factory, the boxes to ship them in, you get it. These are the direct costs, and they've got a name: cost of goods sold, or COGS. For our company, that's a massive $600,000 that gets wiped out right off the top. Okay, so we take our $1 million in revenue, we subtract that $600,000 in COGS, and we're left with $400,000. This is our gross profit. And this number is the first real signal of a company's health. It tells us if the basic business model, just making and selling the product, is actually working. A healthy gross profit, well, that gives you some breathing room.
But wait, the journey is nowhere near over. The company has all these other costs just to keep the lights on. We call these operating expenses. We're talking salaries for the sales team, rent for the office, all those Facebook ads. These are the silent profit killers, and man, they add up fast. For our shoe company, another $350,000 is gone.
So after we subtract those operating expenses from our $400,000 gross profit, just look what happens. That initial $1 million has now shrunk to just $50,000 in operating profit. That is all that's left from the actual day-to-day running of the business. I mean, what a drop. And we're still not done. Finally, we have to pay interest on any loans the company has, and of course, we've got to pay taxes. After another, say, $20,000 for those things, we finally arrive at the truth, the bottom line. Our net profit is just $30,000. Think about that. From $1 million in sales, the company actually gets to keep only 3 cents on every dollar.
And that final number, that net profit, that's everything. Because it is the only number that can guarantee a company has a future.
And this is so crucial. Profit isn't just about making the owners rich. It's the literal lifeblood of the business. It's the cash you need to survive a bad year. It's the fuel you use to invest in new products or expand. It's how you pay down debt and get stronger. Put simply, without profit, a company just doesn't earn the right to exist next year. No profit, no future. Period.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Hold on. What about all those tech startups that lose money for years and then become huge? And that's a great question. But there is a massive difference between a strategic loss, which is a planned, calculated investment for future growth, and a dangerous loss, which happens when a company is just in denial about its problems. One is a tool, the other is a ticking time bomb.
Okay, so we've talked about the what
and the why. Now let's get to the how. I'm going to give you a simple but, incredibly powerful framework you can use to read the story inside any P&L statement you ever come across.
Here it is, just 5 simple steps. Number 1, always start at the bottom. Seriously, ignore that big shiny revenue number and look at the net profit first. Is the company actually making any money? 2, check the gross margin. That's the percentage of revenue left after you pay for the stuff you sold. It tells you how efficient the core business is. If that number's low, that's a huge risk. 3, track your expenses. Are the costs growing faster than sales? That is a massive flashing red light. 4, compare year over year. A single P&L is just a snapshot in time. You need to see the trend. Is it getting better or worse? And finally, number 5, the most important step of all, ask why. Why are costs going up? Why did sales dip in Q3? The numbers tell you what happened, but the real story is always in the why.
All right, let's bring this all home and talk about why this really matters. Because honestly, understanding a P&L isn't about being some kind of math wizard. It's about building a mindset of pure, unshakable business discipline. There's this quote from the source material that I just love. It was about a company that had amazing sales growth. On the outside, everyone thought they were scaling, just crushing it. But when you looked at their P&L, you saw that their costs were growing even faster. They weren't scaling. They were bleeding. And that's the ultimate power of the P&L, isn't it? It's like a mirror. It shows you the reality of your business, not your hopes, not your dreams, not your projections. It's not there to judge you. It's there to give you the honest, sometimes brutal feedback you need to make smarter decisions and steer the ship in the right direction. So, the next time you look at a financial statement, I want you to remember this. You're not just reading a spreadsheet full of numbers. You are reading the results of every single decision, every strategy, every success, and every mistake. You are reading the true story of a business. And the only question is, what story are you going to look for first?